black and blue. Being a cop in America under siege, he's a former cop. And the host of the Tatum Report, and again, I consider him my brother and a friend, and he always keeps it real. Brandon Tatum. I got to get myself back together because, Brandon, I watched the first video, and I watch a woman from the black community berate, and there's no other way to put it, outright make racist statements towards a Latino brother of ours in arms that's wearing the badge. I commend him greatly for keeping his cool, and I want you to address that in a second. And then I see that major who's given, 20, 30 years to the department, and he's losing it, he's tired of it, he can't take it anymore. And I feel for these men and women.
Yeah, it's a sad day in our society where heroes are treated like villains. You know, that black man served honorably. I mean, he's still got his job. He's been honorably serving probably a lot of black people in his career, and he's tired of people making the profession, the honorable profession, the thankless profession, out to be a mockery. You know, it is horrible. And I was praying to God. I said, God, I hope that the person who's berating this Hispanic officer isn't black, because I'm sick of watching black people do this. I know it's not all black people. I can preface that, but I'm sick of watching black people berate police officers and act a fool on camera, buying into this false narrative. It's a shame.
Yeah, and it is everyone. I mean, we've seen the examples, right? The best is when you see some like young, woke, white, liberal 23-year-old screaming at a black cop about how racist they are and they're murderers, and I'm going, oh my gosh. That's when, like you, I'm like, please don't be white, and then you see who they are. But point being is, cops are getting attacked from all sides. It doesn't matter what color it is. This is all thanks to this woke cancel culture mob, and I want your opinion on this, and the liberals and Democrats in charge who for the last year have just placated them and said, yep, no biggie, yep. I guess cops can be bad, they can be corrupt, they are slaughtering blacks in the street. So if you want to riot, if you want to say those nasty things, if you want to attack them, we're just going to look the other way. To me, that's what's emboldening all these different races to come after cops. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with 1,000%. You know, these politicians have a ulterior motive. They are not in the business of helping out the public. They're not in the business of making anything better. They're in the business of trying to get reelected. So any issue that they can push that pulls on your heartstrings, that can lift them up and have them appear that they are the ones who are going to make this country more successful, they're going to do that. And that is at the detriment of law enforcement. And you know why they do this to law enforcement and they don't, hold the black community accountable or other communities that are doing horrible things in our country, is because they know that the police officers can take it. These heroes can take heat. These heroes, put their life on the line. All of these things, they know they're going to come back to work every day. It no matter what happens, they're going to show up to work. The gentleman that made that video, he probably was on his way to work despite what's going on. And since they know they can take advantage of law enforcement, they know you can't boycott, they know you can't do anything but retire or possibly leave the job, they're going to keep pushing it. And they don't want to see any other result but to get reelected and gain power.
Yeah, well, wait till they're in trouble and to call 911. We had a guest on yesterday. I'm sure you saw the video of the young man, 19 years old, from Cypress College in California, where the professor, when he put her to task and was like, so what are you going to do when somebody's got a knife or a gun? You're going to call cops? And she's like, no, I'm more in danger of being killed if I call the cops, which is ignorant and false. Anyway, what's your take on this? I saw Don Trump Jr. the other day put this quote up in a meme, and I thought, you being a former cop, you would appreciate this. A cop's attitude is generally a response to yours. Now, in that video we just played a minute ago before you came on, that cop did an amazing job while being berated and having racial slurs thrown at him. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the cops do lose their cool. But if we go back to this basic statement and the driver of the vehicle would just comply and be polite, we would have way less of this in this country. Don't you think?
Yeah, well, I think the quote was right on. It starts from the traffic stop, not necessarily the verbal engagement. So if you are going to break the law, then a police officer is going to pull you over. That's where the engagement starts. It's all your responsibility. And if you break the law, they pull you over, then take responsibility for your actions and don't get into a peeing match with a police officer. And this officer, knowing he was being recorded, see this brain dead woman recording him and trying to go viral, he played the game. And the funny thing is that she expected him to start going crazy and make the video viral. However, he was peaceful. He was responsive. He was treating her like a citizen, even though she didn't deserve to be treated with respect. But she had nowhere else to go but continue to throw out slander and say outrageous things like he's attempting to kill her. I mean, that brain of hers can't function when her narrative is being, demolished on live stream.
And Brent, she's a teacher. Again, that's a whole other discussion for another day. She's teaching our youth. Anyway, we won't go there because I want to pivot now from what's happening to cops. And it ties, of course, to the new revelations in the Chauvin trial that, of course, they're asking for a retrial because new evidence coming forward now. We've heard from 2 jurors, one of the main ones, and then also one of the alternate jurors. One of the jurors in the Chauvin trial, he was juror number 52. It's come out to light that he attended several BLM protests. He's got T-shirts and pics with hats that say as much. He's come out in defense of that saying, well, he's not, he's posted this or he's been there and he supports the movement, but he's not whatever. I'm pretty sure there was a questionnaire that all jurors fill out. I know I've been called before. And one of them was, they ask them point blank if they participated in that stuff and if they can be impartial. So obviously it sounds like he lied on that questionnaire. Then you had the alternate juror, there was 3 of them, come and say, I was concerned they would come to my house. There was no doubt we had to convict. And that one pretty much said, I believe it was a female, that it didn't matter what the evidence was, point blank. Yeah, there's her interview. It was, we had to, or we knew the city was gonna burn, point blank, and she won't be able to come to her house. So again, I'm not trying to make excuses for Officer Chauvin. We've all seen the 9-minute video. But when you hear this right from the jurors' mouths that one was already tainted one way and the other was so scared for her life that she was only going to vote one way, does that sound like a fair trial?
This is probably the biggest case of an unfair trial that I've ever seen. They could have, right or wrong, if Chauvin is right or wrong, it doesn't matter at this point. They should have given him a fair trial. And if he was convicted, then he's convicted. I mean, I thought the guy was an idiot for what he did. But when I looked at the evidence that was presented in the court of law, it seems like they did not have, what they needed. The state didn't have what they needed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. However, they have given this man another opportunity at freedom because they screwed the whole thing up. Why in the world would you have this trial in this city, the venue where they almost burned down the entire city, and the whole world almost burned because of George Floyd?
And we don't sequester the jury either. The judge didn't sequester.
Right. And then they pay the family $27 million while they're picking the jury pool.
I know.
And then you got a guy on there who
when
got
does that ever
Black
happen?
Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, knee on the neck of justice. This guy has got a podcast or a radio show where he's talking about the trial. They asked the jurors, are you impartial? Have you been involved in the case? Do you have a biased opinion or opinion at all? Yeah. This guy had said, no, I can be impartial. I have not extensively been researching or doing any work in this case. This is completely cut and dry. This should be a mistrial.
Yeah, and Brandon, don't forget, we've learned what we learned last week, early this week, that the feds were ready to step right in and cuff him and arrest him if he was acquitted that day and charge him with civil rights violation because the Biden administration was like, if for some reason he gets off in Minnesota, we'll take care of it at the federal level. Anyway, they're wrapping me up, but I got to get your reaction to this one because I want to play this soundbite. We're still trying to determine where it's from. You may know, I saw Charlie Kirk and some other influencers posted. This is a judge and a lawyer exchange as the lawyer is defending a young black man who, by the way, had been arrested after found hiding in the water under somebody's boat dock with a holster on, but the gun was gone. Back up a few secs. Cops were just shot at, and they were searching this neighborhood. Watch what the attorney tries to pull in this courtroom, and watch what this judge says to him.
what's happening in this country with unarmed black men being killed by police.
Don't hand me that. Don't hand me that.
From shots being fired.
Don't even go down that road. I'm not going to let you go down that road. That is so off base. We've got a young man. I don't care what color he is. He's in a neighborhood he doesn't live in at 1:41 in the morning, hiding on under somebody's dock in the water with a holster on after a police officer had a shot taken at him. Don't hand me this. He's a black man running from police brutality. Look, that is not appropriate in this case.
I want to buy that judge a beer. A few seconds left. Brandon, your final thoughts on that right there.
Well, I'll do it better. I'll buy my Angel's Envy whiskey and have them. We have a drink and some cigars together. Because I mean, thank God we have people stepping up and saying something about this, man. You can't throw the race card out, and we need to stop, pandering to black folks and hold them accountable. I know you're the defense attorney; you have to defend your client, but stop throwing out superfluous things. You're hurting the profession, and you're making, lawyers look really bad because you cannot argue on the behalf of your client as his innocence. So you start pushing out race and all this other superfluous stuff that the judge wasn't having. So thank God for that judge. I want to make a video about that judge because I think he should get, kudos for stepping up and doing the right thing at the right time.
Yes, and OJ didn't do it. You're the one that brought up the attorney playing the race card. I flashed back to 93. And I went, oh, yeah, I remember some other attorneys that did that. But it worked for that case. Anyway,
yeah.
Brandon Tatum, thank you so much for coming on, always keeping it real. Unfortunately, we will probably see you again real soon because our cops are under attack, and we're going to find that more of these ridiculous videos are going to come up where people just go off for no good reason simply because it's a cop.
God bless you, my brother. Thank you for having me on.
Yep, and got to put the book one more time, guys. Beaten Black and Blue, being a black cop in America under siege. Thank you so much for coming on the program again, Brandon. You take care. Have a good night.
Thank you.